Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We have the Town of Highland Beach Town Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, and it's now 1:30, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we could have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Chinovsky,
Present.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Present.
Commissioner Peters,
Present.
Vice Mayor Stern,
Present.
Mayor Moore,
Present.
Town Manager Labadie,
Present.
and Town Attorney Rubin.
Present.
We could all rise for the pledge.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Staff requested one adjustment for the agenda, and that is to move item 11B to 6B. Other than that, are there any other changes to the agenda? If none, if we could have a motion for the,
Yes, I'd move to approve the motion, subject to those two changes.
I'll second that.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to presentations. Item A, state legislative updates by Senator Lori Berman, District 26, and State Representative Peggy Gossett-Seidman, District 91. Thank you very much for being here today.
Come up together. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Senator Lori Berman. I have represented Highland Beach for the last 8 years, and we do have term limits. So this is my last session in the legislature. I don't plan on running again. It's been my honor and privilege and pleasure to represent all of you in the legislature. So as I'm sure you've heard, we have one job and we didn't do it. So we will be going back to Tallahassee to finish a budget. The rumors were maybe next Monday, but as it gets closer and we haven't called for Monday, it's unlikely. We are going up a week from Monday for special session to do congressional redistricting. The governor has called for that. So we'll see. It's kind of a mystery when we'll do the budget. It's not due technically until July 1st. So there's plenty of wiggle room. Last year we were a lot later than this, so we'll see when it comes through. And there is one project in play for Highland Beach, and I'll let my colleague talk a little bit about that also. So I like to give you a little bit of a review of what we did on preemption, and I have to tell you, this year was really bad. I know we worked together a lot to fight a lot of these preemption bills. But there was a lot that happened in the legislature this year. Probably one of the biggest ones that will impact you is we changed the sovereign immunity law. So now you can be liable for 350,000 per person and 500,000 per incident. The numbers aren't that much more significant, but you can anticipate that when somebody sues, they're probably going to ask for those kind of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And also your insurance will probably go up that you get for your sovereign immunity insurance. Just a few other things that we did on the preemption area that you should be aware of. And I know you guys have good attorneys, and the League of Cities will be also giving you reports about some of the things. You're not allowed to limit the type of fuel that a leaf blower uses. That is in the agricultural bill. You're not allowed to fund anything having to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if you are specifically funding a program for one ethnic group, you really have to make sure that it falls within one of the exceptions of the bill. One of the things, for instance, if you wanted to fund something for Black History Month, you are allowed to do that because it's a federal recognized holiday. So it's a little tricky. You'll have to, navigate that a little bit. We just spoke about the preemption. You are going to also, under House Bill 1329, have to post information on your local government website, allowing members to view data, and it has to, and you also have to participate in a cost-cutting exercise. You have, it's, I believe you have to cut 10%, but in the exercise, but you don't actually have to do it. It's just an exercise that you will have to be doing. You are prohibited from doing any legislation that would adopt or implement policies that are net zero greenhouse gas emissions. So, we asked the question if you wanted to have a bus that was a bus that uses electricity, and they said it's questionable because you have to see if if it costs you more money to get that bus, you're gonna have to justify that in the long run, it won't cost you more money. So kind of pretty disappointed about that, greenhouse gas emission one. And there were some changes on some of the, when building codes, that you're gonna be allowed to do. You have to administratively approve certain applications, and usually like some time limits and things like that. So as you can tell, it was pretty significant amount of action this year on the preemption front. But I'm gonna pass it now to my colleague and let her talk about some of the bills that we passed that were really good bills in the legislature.
Thank you. Can you stay here? Thank you. Hello, everyone. Back home after 2.5 months is really a great feeling, and I'm sure the senator feels the same way. And Lori and I work very closely. I'm trying to find a way to keep her up there in Tallahassee. We're still working on that. But I just want to add to her caveat here that really when Lori and I get up, when the senator and I get up to Tallahassee, we're still one vote. And there are times that I'm like, no. And we're able in the House, in the Senate, to alter bills. We had a bill, for example, 399 in the House, and it had all kinds of little hidden in undercurrents of, well, less and less capabilities for home rule. And we chipped away at that and got it in a better place so that finally we were able to pass it. But if great municipalities like Highland Beach and Boca Raton are so well run, and many of our cities here in Palm Beach County, and you have to remember, in statewide, many are not. And so we have to make decisions that, of course, putting our districts in place first, but we have to take into account these other districts. For example, there's one town in North Central Florida, and they took the assistant clerk and made him clerk. And then he made him assistant town manager. Like every time there was an increase, there was like a doubling of salary, and then town manager, and then fired him and made him a consultant at 5 times the salary of the original hire. Not right. Turns out he didn't even live in the district, in the city. So we look at these things and we go, no, you really need to do things a different way. So when we vote, we chip away at these bills, which you all don't see. You wouldn't want to sit on the Florida Channel for 10 hours a day, I'm sure. So that's where we come when you say, oh, what happened to that? That's what happened. And we do the best to make sure that the concerns of these municipalities are first and foremost. We proudly together passed 2 bills this year. I know people who didn't pass 1 bill. And so that we just had a very interesting session with these priorities of insurance, property taxes, and some of these other areas that the senator covered. And so this 1 bill was extremely cool at hardly any cost to the state. This is a bill called the Haven Act, and it allows people who are victims of domestic violence, women, but sometimes men, to actually carry a special phone, which allows you to text the police and take phones, take your phone and take photos and videos. And this system would allow instant access to police instead of routing through an answer center, call center. And that's where, when you're under attack or threat, this is a major assistant. For some of these people die because they can't get to a phone, or they can't get to a phone without speaking. Like, hi, I'm being attacked, please send police. This way they can hit a button, even hit a special code and get instant help. There was a woman last year in Broward, you may have heard, who was gunned down along with her neighbor. and her father because she couldn't get to her phone and make a call. So this was a very cool bill, and we're very proud of that. When the senator, to give you an example, she brought it to me in the fall, and by like the second to the last part of our session in the House, they still hadn't brought it to the floor, and she's saying, "Where's that bill?" I'm going, "I don't know," and I'm running around to 5 offices. We're getting it done. Where's the bill? Oh yeah, let's get it up. It went up 2 days later. So that's what we do. We're 120 in the House, 40 in the Senate, and we're all going to some of the same people to get our bills heard. So 2 is a great gain for us. I also had a bill pass off the House, which was not through the Senate, but we'll work on that. And it is taking the college language in all of our state colleges and some private who are heavily funded, and having that language match throughout the state, because we have privileges at these schools, and this regards campaigns and voting and student organizations, and they were all over the place as far as bringing in speakers, campaigns, access to speakers, and a lot of it, this was going on before the Charlie Kirk situation, but after that it became prevalent, like no one knows what the rules are. And I looked at the best set of rules was FAMU, right down the street from our capital. And the worst was UF, sorry Gators. And so we're bringing that back, and that's an example where government is great. We all have the same idea, but the language is all over the place, and we have to simplify it. Speaking of property taxes, we don't know is the answer. We're 2 people, but we're committed to working on the tax package and making the package work the best we can. I personally do not think we're going to, this is a personal opinion. I do not think we're going to get in there and come up with an extreme answer. Nothing extreme. I think we'll chip away and we'll work. We'll take all the priorities of the House, the Senate, and the governor and look at it and come up with the best package. We have a lot of really extremely bright, genius leaders, and they don't always agree, but down the road they will agree. So you'll have to give us a little time and we'll be getting back to you. And if there's anything else, I guess we could take a few questions. Anything else, Lori?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the other bill that we passed because I do love it. And
Oh,
it was,
that's true.
right, it was
Yeah, you
through
got-
our school board asked for the bill.
Oh.
So what it does is if you're a student with a disability and an IEP plan, you can participate in the Special Olympics, and that will cover your physical education requirement. So, and we got that done in 1 year, which is amazing because ideas usually have to germinate through the legislature.
And to add, it included band. So what we had is kids with disabilities right here at Boca High, and band who puts in. I said to the laughs of a couple of guys who played football at Florida State, no, but band often works out just as hard as football team, and they're out there 5-6 days a week. I researched it. I called like 5 universities. How long do you guys practice? And high schools. And so the bill covers PE credit for band, 1 band and 1 art, 2 years for 1 year of PE, and for disabled kids. Some of them were not even able of doing the appropriated program that makes exceptions for disabled kids. So there are kids who could not get their PE credit even to graduate. And we've made that easy now. And I've had 3 states call me and say, hey, can we copy your language? So we're in a good place with that. Thank you.
And then I just want to go over the appropriation from Highland Beach, the pedestrian safety and traffic improvement project. The request was 375,000. Peggy got half that amount in the House, and we're hoping that we'll at least match that and maybe even get it up when we get to the final budget. And I do want to give kudos to your lobbyist, Jared Rosenstein. He works very hard on these projects, and yeah. So, yeah. Okay, and we're happy to take any questions that you might have.
Lisa, well, thank you for your public service. My question, and this is a little bit more personal, dating violence versus domestic violence. How prevalent is dating violence?
Much more than you would think.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of dating violence. So we now are letting these people participate in the confidentiality program that the Attorney General has in place. You have to apply for it, but this way they can protect their addresses. And the definition of dating violence is you have to have been in a relationship for 6 months. So it's not like you just went out with someone 1 or 2 times and got nervous about them. You have to have been in a relationship for 6 months. That's how we define dating violence, but you'd be surprised. It's a lot more
Thank you.
prevalent. Thank you.
I just want to thank you both so much for your service. All you do for us. You're
Thanks.
excited about it. You're involved in it to a degree that we should only have 100% of our House and Senate at that. So
Thank
you are really so well respected with this commission in this town. And we will miss you, Senator. And we know that you're going to go on and contribute to our society for sure. Thank you. And I must mention the Haven Act is so important. As a family law attorney, I have, really direct knowledge about that, the need for that. So this is crucial.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you too. Just pick up on that. You're great. Both of you have been doing great things for Highland Beach, getting us a lot of money. And Lori, we hate to see you go there,
Thank you.
stay involved somewhere here,
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just an outstanding job. We really appreciate it. Thank both of you. Thank you.
Wow.
Yes, and I completely agree. Thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate all the time and effort that you put into it. And I can only imagine all the modifications that you have had to make in order to make, common sense type changes. So we really appreciate all that you've done. So thank you for your time and giving of your talents, and really appreciate it.
You can go. Oh, well, I was just
Go.
going to say, this year I was also the Democratic Minority Leader. And so I met with the League of Cities weekly, and they worked really hard to get the modifications to make things that were very bad, just a little bit
Tolerable.
tolerable, though. They did. They worked really hard, and you should know that. They worked really hard on your behalf.
Thank you.
And I'll add, as you all know, I represented you at the League of Cities and learned so much from them. And I would meet them in the hallways in the office, and definitely they've been a great asset. And they're very good about, you call them, they're there in like 2 minutes. They're right down the street, up the street. But I want to add too that you all, the big story in Highland Beach the last 2 years, of course, was A1A and the repaving. And now the Marine dock. But listen, Marshall Labadie, the town manager, not because he came from Michigan State, but because he's yes, it does help. But he is a brilliant and dedicated guy. And every time he would call, I would get on with FDOT, call District 4. I went down the street and saw the couple of the people at the state headquarters, right near the Capitol, luckily right nearby. But we tried very hard to help move it along, repair it. You could see the first time the swales weren't deep enough and the road wasn't high enough. And geez, so I'm glad finally it's come to a close, but we tried, both Lori and I, several times to get that rectified early on. And now with the Marine dock, we made some calls. So we are able to do a few things, which surprised me when I first got up there, that do have impact. And the one story I'll relate is that this happened several times, but a guy not even from the district called, and this is where we can help people. And he said, I have a child who's must go to California for a medical service, for a medical surgery and follow-up services. But California won't take our Medicaid, and they were underserved down in Miami. I don't know, they got my name from somewhere. I said, oh, because Medicaid is not reciprocal in all states, and California is no. The kid would have died. I made calls. I called one of our state senators, Rick Scott. I called, thinking, who can I? I called my best friend from high school, who's a psychologist out there. And I said, do you have a guy who will help us out? She said, yeah, I do. And she got her councilman on the phone with me. He got his Medicaid, and we got the kid flown out there for free, and his surgery was a success. That doesn't happen every week or every month, but that's where we can do things that help out greatly with people who are in need. And if it's out of district, so be it. You just try your hardest. So that, passports, Medicare, if people have an issue, we are here to help in our district offices as well. So thank you, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you
Anything else,
very
Lori?
much. Such great news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. See you soon.
Yes. Moving on to 6B. And this is development order application number PZ 26-1, Seagate of Highland Beach Condominiums. Application by Jason R. Borden, PE, O&A Associates Incorporated, for a major modification request to allow for the construction of a new 472 square foot fire pump structure for the property located at 3224 South Ocean Boulevard. And this is a public hearing, a quasi judicial proceeding. And for those giving testimony on this item, can you please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in and provide testimony for the application you are affiliated with? And Ms. Gaskin, can you please swear in those giving testimony?
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
Okay, and do any member of the commission have any ex parte communications to disclose?
Well, I do reside at Seagate. So
Okay.
wanted to disclose that. I don't know whether or not I can vote today on it.
How many units do you know off the top of your head?
Three-
How much?
316.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Usually if you're less than 1% is so as long as it's over 100, you're good.
Thank you.
And no one else had any kind of communication outside of the meeting? Okay, excellent. At this time, I now open the public hearing. Town Planner Allen, please present the application.
Good morning, Ingrid Allen, Town Planner. I figured we'd start off with some aerials of the subject property. These are all in your packet. But I'll go over them briefly. So here we have the Seagate condominium, and you could see in this area, you have the 4 buildings here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's go to the next one. This is another aerial. This is looking at the southeast corner of the property. I put a little red arrow here that shows the current bulk storage area. This is the vicinity of where the proposed fire pump structure is to be located. Again, here you have another view of those 4 residential structures. This is another slide. This is looking westward. Again, the current bulk storage area where the proposed structure is to be located. And you can also see some of the existing landscaping in the southeast corner of the Seagate condominium. And here we have an actual picture of what the bulk storage area currently looks like. The applicant has indicated that they will remove this. Obviously, they need to remove it to put the proposed structure. I had asked them during the development review process if they were going to relocate it somewhere else on the property, but they did indicate that they will not, so they will forego this bulk storage area. So what is before the Town Commission today? You will be considering a major modification request. This is for the construction of a new 472 square foot fire pump structure. According to the applicant, the structure will house 2 new fire pumps, which will service the 4 residential buildings of the community, as well as the fire hose connections at the seawall and dock area. Now, on the top of page 50 in your packets, I provided you some history. The Seagate condominium was built in 1970, according to the Palm Beach County property appraiser. And the proposed structure, when you look at the plans that are in your packet, the proposed structure is encroaching in the building setback. However, the applicant did go before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals on October 23rd of 2025, and they did receive 2 variances. One variance allowing for the reduction in the front yard setback from 40 feet to 8 feet 7 inches, and a reduction in the side yard south setback from 12 feet to 7 feet. So very important that that is called out. The applicant has also indicated there's going to be no alterations or changes to the existing landscaping or to the existing parking spaces. And let's go ahead and take a look at the plans. Again, these are all in your packet. This is a survey of the property. Again, in this southeast corner is the area we're looking at where the current bulk storage is located. And here you have the proposed site plan. I've put a little blue square there to show you the proposed fire pump structure. The applicant has provided an enlarged site plan. So you could kind of zoom in a little bit, which is here on the bottom. I again highlighted the structure in blue. And the next two slides, these are the elevations. So the structure is a 10-foot in height from the finished floor elevation. And here we have some colored renderings that the applicant provided. These just to give you some perspective. Here you have a view from the street, so on and so forth. This one on the far bottom on the right, this is how the structure will look. This will be the front of the structure. And here we have some more colored renderings again provided by the applicant. And then we have a final sheet. This is just showing that southeast corner, some of the existing landscaping there and some of the heights. When the applicant went before the Board of Adjustment and Appeals, one of the board members asked about the existing landscaping. So that is put out there again, just to give the commission a little bit of perspective as to the height of some of that landscaping. I will note that the code does not require an accessory structure to be screened with landscaping, but just want to make reference to the sheet. So on the middle of page 50, I provided you the description of what a major modification is per our code, section 30-39. I've also provided you a definition of what an accessory use is per our code, as well as a definition of what an accessory structure, how that's defined. Again, these are accessory structures are permitted in the zoning district. According to the applicant, the current fire pump rooms located in each of the 4 residential buildings are insufficient to meet the current National Fire Protection Agency code requirements. These requirements included increased flow rate, which requires larger fire pumps and clearances for repair and maintenance. We do have a letter on page 57 of your packets from our Assistant Fire Chief, Matt Wellhath. Mr. Wellhath is here today if you have any questions a little bit later. Now, the major modification itself, I know it's a little bit odd for the commission to, consider a major modification, but our code requires for a multifamily development, which is what this is, right? Seagate. Any type of major modification requires a final decision-making. The commission is the final decision-making authority, and you get a recommendation from the planning board. If this was a single-family development, the code allows a major modification to get the final decision-making authority from the planning board. But again, because this is a multifamily reality, then you are the final decision-making authority. And according to the code, the commission today, you can approve with conditions, or deny. Now, the planning board did have a special meeting yesterday. They were supposed to meet on March 14th, but there unfortunately wasn't a quorum. So the special meeting yesterday was held, and the planning board did approve or make a recommendation to approve the major modification request. That motion carried 7-0. Now, if the request is approved by the commission prior to initiation of construction, obviously the applicant will have to go get a building permit from our building department. And commencement of construction, again, if the major modification is approved, shall be initiated within 2 years following the date of approval by the town commission. Staff reviewed the applicant's proposed requests, including plans date stamp received by the building department on February 25th of 2026, and finds that the project is consistent with the zoning code as well as the town comprehensive plan. I'll be happy to address any questions. We also have the applicant's agent, that's Mr. Jason Borden. He's also here to address any questions.
Question.
Yes.
I guess Matt would answer. This is we're talking 1970, so the pumps have been there now over 50 years. These are the originals?
I
That were
believe they are the
replacing that?
originals, yes.
Moved that, thank you. Excuse me, that aren't there anymore. There is no fire pumps there. They all failed. So they've been removed. There's a lot of other issues that are part of this new construction, the fire pump house is just the replacement of those pumps. The pumps, that were there were smaller, the controllers weren't there. There's a lot of things that go along with meeting the current standard for fire pump installations that without doing this, we wouldn't be able to, we'd have to figure out some other method. So I kind of, going back, Tony and I talking about this almost 3 years ago. And it's just been a long process to get to this point. This is a life safety issue and, we went through a lot of different iterations of things and this is kind of where we landed. And then with ONS's help, they've been able to kind of come up with something we can get started very soon and put people back in a much safer condition. It's the original design for Seagate, which we've all had these conversations, is similar to a lot of other places in Highland Beach where it wasn't compliant when it was installed. It just was built that way. Now we're trying to get it back to a state of compliance.
And
And
Matt,
even with that, we're missing a couple things, but we're going to be in a much better place. And that's all I can ask for.
hey, Matt, I'm less concerned about the cosmetic look on the outside, but your team has done a fabulous job in the compliance issues. I mean, the best I know we've ever worked with. And I guess my question is, as far as lead time right now, how long will it take to get these pumps and everything in?
That's going to be, as far as getting the pumps, that's going to take a little bit of time. I don't know what the overall, once we get to this point, we can probably develop a better plan of the installation, unless Tony might have.
I hear this.
You have to come up to the.
You have to speak in the mic.
I've been
Tony,
working with Grammatic on this.
Tony, what is your lead time in this?
We can probably be finished by May of next year. We can, if we get this done and the permits are approved, we can get equipment ordered. They can put a shovel in the ground as early as June. Late May or early June is when they could
This-
put a shovel in the ground, start
This-
cutting the blacktop and bringing the backhoes in, because they're gonna lay the pipe in sections. So they can get the pipe laid and have it all ready to connect before the pump houses arrive. They can do the concrete pads. So when the pump houses arrive in 6 months or so, they can just set them up, make the connections to the taps, connect them to the buildings and be all inspected and ready to go. So we should be up and running by June 2027.
Could you just state your name for the record? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Anthony Santella, President Seagate of Highland.
Just so you understand, a normal pump is, replacement takes anywhere from, permit application to, approval to design, everything like that. That all can be done in less than 6 months. This is not what this, what we're doing here is replacing all the underground piping that supplies water to the buildings from the pumps. All that has been negatively impacted over years. A lot of the piping in town, because the tidal waters rise and fall below all the buildings. A lot of the pipes are sitting in that. And over time, shorter periods of time than would normally degrade these pipes. That's what we're dealing with. It's everything up to the buildings. Everything underground.
Thank you.
Matt, the double check valve will be in the building too?
No, so the backflow preventers are going to be right out by the pump house. They're going to be tapped in right off of the main by A1A, just outside the pump house. And that's all part of the plans that we've already developed. So there's going to be two taps. There's one 8-inch line that goes to one of the pumps and another 8-inch line that goes to the other pump.
And how long is it estimated to complete once started, if in June?
About a year.
A year?
Yeah.
That's not unusual for what we're doing.
And Matt, if it was a decision, can it be screened?
As far as the pump house?
Yeah, at some time in the future?
I suppose that wouldn't be a problem. we just need to have access to it. There's also going to be a small alarm panel in there for some of the tampers and the flow stuff, but and just the pump run and some things like that,
Mhm.
but that's not a big deal.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Mr. Peterson, any questions?
Now it appears necessary and a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in favor. So, does the applicant want to make an application, a presentation? Or do we need do we need a presentation? Fellow commissioners, do you want to hear, or you want to just move to the motion, or I guess, let's see, is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this application? If so, raise your hand. And no, okay, seeing no public comments. So if there's no more questions, right? No more questions, then the public hearing is now closed. So now, is there a motion to approve?
Yes, a motion to approve the major modification request.
I second it.
So that is a motion to approve development order application number PZ 26-1. So the motion, Commissioner Goldberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Peters,
Yes.
Commissioner Janowski.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stern.
Yes.
And Mayor Moore.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much for
It was easy.
your participation. This sounds critical. Yeah, thank you very much. I guess I have one question, or what's that? No, I'm good. I guess one question I kind of have, and I don't know if it's for you guys, but are we going to see more of these types of issues come up? Is this?
Occasionally, not from Seagate.
Right, not from
They're
Seagate.
handled.
It's gonna be perfect.
They're good.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be in great shape, but I guess I'm just kind of curious, if we're gonna see a lot more of these types of things.
We've got some other different projects that are going on, that I don't know that they're gonna need to come to council necessarily for approval, but I'll give you an example. Boca Highlands, we're working on putting in what is required for marina protection. And we're gonna have to do that in kind of a unique fashion. The marina itself, for example, is a separate parcel from all the different condominiums and the townhouses that are around that marina, which actually worked out pretty good once we discovered that, because we can use tapping into Bremer Isle on the kind of the north west side, Aberdeen on the south side, and then Dalton on the east side to bring water. So we have availability there. We have had, even since we started the fire department here, going back, running calls 2 years ago, being here 3 years ago, we have had some minor boat fires in there. Fortunately, nothing's really gotten into, any significant issue. We did have a boat that was docked here just in the last week or two that was taken down to the cove, which did catch on fire, and Broward Sheriff's Office had to handle that. And there was 30 firefighters on that call. And my understanding, so it turned into a significant event, and that boat was docked in the marina. So we're working on that. Regency, we're working with them on a similar situation, and then Seagate, but that's already part of this project. So I don't know that the main reason we really had to be here was because of the building, getting the variances, all that kind of thing. If we were just replacing the underground piping, we would have been able to do that without having to come to council. But, so I can't say what projects are going to necessarily require coming back here. We've had to replace numerous fire pumps in town. Alarm systems are still going through that process. Y'all probably get some occasional phone calls and stuff. I know the town manager occasionally gets a call, and we're working through all that. And I really appreciate everybody's support. And working with these guys has been great. I mean, Tony's been awesome working with ONS. I've worked with them on other projects when I was at Boca. So, everybody's kind of familiar with what's going on. There's a lot of things that still need to get done here. We've gotten through many of the put the buildings in a much better condition, working with Joe Brooks and all that stuff to where we are now. But there's some of the major stuff that just takes time. I mean, this is a process, so we had to get through that.
Well, great. I think this is critical work, and we appreciate you keeping the building safe and identifying these issues and coming up with good solutions. That the collaboration is really important to get all this done.
Yep.
So thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay. Moving on to public comments. Anybody want to make a comment? Seeing none, there are no ordinances. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have a few items on the consent agenda, but if we're ready, we can make a motion to approve the consent
Yes.
agenda.
I move to approve the agenda. Consent agenda.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to unfinished business, Florida Department of Transportation, Triple R project update.
They will be closing the project the end of the week. And we will start the sanitary sewer lining project on A1A Monday.
Excellent,
So
Wow.
FDOT is done.
excellent.
If you have any concerns, I'll be more than glad to share that number who they can call.
Hey, Marshall,
Uh,
Marshall, the question that's been asked is when they read about it, about the project starting, how much disruption will the project cause?
For sanitary sewer lining, very minimal, especially since we got delayed. It almost was somewhat of a favorable delay as everyone will be leaving from season. So the usage will be down. The water usage is down. So bypass pumping would be the only part of the project that could be tricky, especially for the larger condo complexes. But with less flow, shouldn't be a big deal. And that's the only thing is there's like a day to set up bypass. So no one will notice the disruption, but we got to move around the line and stuff. Yep.
That's great. Moving on to the Building Department Recertification Program update. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Katerina Jadawi at the Building Department.
Okay.
So our latest update as of April 7th, 2026, the recertified buildings total has remained at 33, but we do have recent progress on the concrete restoration portion. We had 2 buildings last month under review of their phase 1 reports, so they have both been reviewed. The Ridge Inc.'s front building located at 3401 South Ocean Boulevard is now required to proceed with a phase 2. They have requested an extension for when they must secure a concrete restoration permit, and it's been approved with a new deadline of October 11th, 2026. Toscana West, 3720 South Ocean Boulevard, Phase 1 report's been reviewed, and they have moved to Phase 2, the concrete restoration phase with the permit already secured, bringing the total number of buildings under permit for restoration to 17. I continue to be pleased to report the recertification program remains to be on track and a positive progress.
Excellent. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Kat? No?
No.
Okay. Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great news. Item C, continued discussion on the introduction of a proposed resolution adopting procedures for the initiation and adoption of town ordinances.
You wanna take- Okay, I'll just jump in again. This is a follow-up. We were going to put into a resolution on how kind of formalizing or memorializing our process for ordinance initiation. So there were some changes that were suggested or desired by the commission. Len made those changes to the resolution, and those are reflected in the highlighted portions on page 42 and 43. And as a reminder, this process is working its way through the boards and committees for their comments and review. So I do not believe there's any action required at this point, but it does show the changes to the resolution for the ordinance process.
Right, we just wanted to make, oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, the council was very concerned. You know, we had to include that language, like somehow we miss one of our own procedures. It doesn't invalidate it, but I know the commission's intent is that we vet these things with the public as fully as possible. So that language was in the resolution, and it'll come back for adoption once it goes through all the boards. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments or anything? No? No? Okay, excellent. Thank you. And no action from us, so we can keep moving. Great. New business, consideration of the designation of the town's voting delegate and alternates to the Palm Beach County League of Cities for the 2026-2027 year.
I'd like to nominate, actually, I'd like to nominate Judy as delegate and Don as the backup.
We'll accept that. Thank you.
Yeah. Second.
Shall I make a motion to that effect? Or I'm in favor. Any other discussion?
All in favor?
So make a motion?
If, yeah, you can make a motion. If there's no other nominations, you're good to go. But
Oh, no.
you can-
nominations. All right. Well, thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you very much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
A pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
And I look forward to the next meeting that we're going to have. All of us, the whole commission in August.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for your work with that.
Thank you.
Item C, presentation of the strategic priorities dashboard.
So as Madison gets ready to present this, one of the comments that came out when we approved the strategic priorities plan is to have a more usable format or easier to use format on progress for the general public. That was tasked to Madison, and she came up with a pretty cool dashboard that now will be updated quarterly. It's on our website, particularly the manager's website, along with the strategic priorities plan and the CIP. And this will show progress as it is made. But I thought she could give a little presentation on the dashboard, make sure everybody's comfortable with it, or if want to make any changes. All right, Noonan.
Just 1 second, trying to get a good view for everyone so you can actually see. Okay. Hello, everyone. Madison Noonan, Town Manager's Office. I'm here today to just give you a brief overview of this dashboard we created. The intent behind it is just to give residents or anyone who's interested a quick glimpse into the status of our strategic priorities and some of our capital projects as well. So just to kind of go over the format and how everything works, you can see up at the top, we have a color scale to designate the status of each project. And green indicates in progress, which thankfully a majority of our priorities are moving along and in progress as they should be. And we have red for delayed, yellow, no progress to date, and blue is complete. So one difference with the dashboard as opposed to the actual strategic priorities plan is we grouped the priorities in priority number order as opposed to categories, because I thought that might be more intuitive for residents who aren't as familiar with the document to kind of see the flow of our top initiatives. And I won't go through line item by line item because, you know, we're aware of the priorities and I'm sure you have that in your packet. You can see up close. But one thing to note, we plan to update this on a quarterly basis per the fiscal year. And now is a great time to put out updates because we just finished our second quarter. And we expect probably in the spring and the summer for there to be some more updates on projects we have. For example, we currently have 2 projects that have gone out to bid and we expect those proposals back end of April. So lots of things should be moving and we should have more updates for Q3 in the summer. But I'll just do a quick little scroll through so we can kind of see some of the different items. And you can see here, some items have no progress to date. One item is complete. A couple are delayed. The ones that are delayed are due to, I think both of them due to the Senate Bill 180 state requirements that just required us to put a couple of those priorities on hold. Just scroll through a little bit more and I'll take you down to the bottom where it dives deeper into the CIP projects. We chose to just select ones that were more significant cost, budgeted over $100,000. So we pulled those straight from the list. And since none of these projects are complete yet, you'll notice over to the left side, we only have the budgeted amount. It doesn't yet include the actual or the variance, which as things get complete and we get an accurate cost, we'll add that in and update it as we can. Just scroll through the rest so you can see. And if anyone has any particular questions, comments, or suggestions,
Yes.
the format, I'd be happy to hear.
But I love dashboards,
Yeah.
Madison, and I think it's great. And I've used them for many years myself in high tech. My biggest challenge has always been getting the message out that there was a dashboard available. And I think just putting it up there will not get you the audience that we really need. So I would support the dashboard with as much outbound marketing as possible. And the only other thing about the dashboards, there's so much information, which I love. The bigger the print, the better, with the average age of Highland Beach.
That does make
and-
sense.
Did I say that properly? Did I say that properly?
Given our population.
Yes. The bigger the print, the better. And the repetition of the messaging is very important. But thank you for getting this done. It's excellent.
Thank you, and I'll take that into consideration. I can easily go in on the back end, and just enlarge the print and make any adjustments to the document on the fly and get that posted.
I particularly like this, the way you set this out as the dashboard. It really was easy to very quickly see where we are on each. And this is something that I had brought up. How do we know where we are on a continuing basis? So now when we have it on the agenda from time to time, we can easily see this and question it. So I thank you. Thank you for the hard work. This is very informative this way.
Yeah. Definitely did a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I think it's terrific. I just like to question or address the content of one, not the progress, not the other part of it. And I'm looking at SP7, e-bike, scooters and motorcycles. And since one of my co-commissioners here almost got hit by an e-bike on a walk path, I would encourage the
Me.
priority to move quickly.
Understood. Possibly the town manager could speak to that and
Good move. Good move. Yeah. I got some updates with that. Yes.
I'd be in favor of increasing the priority on that as well.
Of what?
Increasing the priority of e-bikes, which means reducing the number, like making it a closer to number one. I mean, it's still one of the
I
higher
think it'll
ones.
naturally transition that way because a couple of the capital projects that are towards the top will pop off, such as Milani will be completed.
Right.
Sanitary sewer lining
Right.
project will drop off. That's going to escalate and the
natural.
speed at which that's done. Plus, if you look at Senator Berman's thing, they did create the state panel on that. I have a couple quick updates, conversations Len and I are having on that subject.
Excellent.
But I think it's terrific and it helped me highlight that issue.
thank you for the feedback. I
Yes, excellent. I also thought it was excellent. Very easy to just quickly see what the status is. So, yeah, I really thank you for that. And another comment on the content, I suggest we remove the gas-powered leaf blower since we're not allowed to do it anyway.
Yes.
So, let's get rid of, strategic priority 23.
I would like to add a comment.
Okay.
I've been thinking a lot about the AED as presented when Jason had made that presentation recently. And then from the Courier, Delray has passed either an ordinance or in some way made that the law of that town, requiring that. I'd like to take it up for discussion at some future time, put it on the agenda for us to look at. So
What
I
is
don't
that
know whether-
creating, making a law?
They,
for?
yeah, as to some towns have taken the action, or a town that we know of, doing it every other floor in a high rise. Now, there is a financial impact, there may be other impacts. And then what would happen with individual dwellings? I mean, I think we should look at it from a safety perspective.
I could
particularly-
cue that up we could start that conversation.
Okay,
And then somebody can champion it and we can start moving in that direction based on the conversation amongst the commissioners.
okay.
So put it on the agenda at some future
Yep, I'll put it
meeting.
at the next meeting. We'll start the conversation.
Yeah, I want to particularly thank Rich for a wonderful article, many articles this month. Very, very informative. Thank you.
Yes, Definitely. Yeah. It's a team effort for sure. Well, thank you very much. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Moving on to town commission comments, Commissioner Shadnosky.
Well, we're going into the second quarter of 2026. And as I look back at the season, Marshall, Mayor, I have to congratulate you because I think the team that you've put together here is phenomenal. I mean, the compliance group, Matt, you have to be really proud of what's happening in the certification group. I think we just don't have to brag about safety. It's actually happening in Highland Beach. And the issues that Matt and his team and Glenn and the safety issue, our first initial statement was one of the safest towns in Florida. Well, that has taken a broader view right now. It isn't just safe because of someone handling a weapon. It's safe because of the way that we're treating our residents. But it's very difficult not to be impressed about what has taken place over this last season. And I think a lot of us are looking really forward to the progress we're going to make in 2026. So to you, Mayor, to Matt, to my fellow commissioners, and to the team, I think we've done it's been a fabulous year. But thank you.
No, I agree totally. Thank you, Jason, for saying that so beautifully. And I agree. I mean, we ride down, walk down, jog down this town, and it's really so beautiful, so safe. And it's always such a joy to be here. It never gets dull. Every day you have to so appreciate it. That's it for me today.
Yeah, I just want to kudos on that. We got a great police department. Like you said, we were one of the safest towns, and now we're safest town because of the fire department, Matt and his crew, and the chief going around making sure our buildings are safe. I know we've been getting away for a lot of years. I know it's dollars, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And thank you, Matt, and all the firemen are doing a great job. I see a lot of car carriers going back, so I want to wish everybody,
Safe.
see you next year, safe trip, and dim those lights for the turtles, and that's it.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, I must say, they mentioned a turtle. I was up in Port St. Lucie visiting a family member. And as we're driving, it was a 3-lane highway, and there was a humongous turtle, just kind of all alone, just kind of slowly going, and everything stopped. And a wonderful gentleman had 3 little kids in the car, jumped out, got this turtle, brought him over to the grassy area near the lake, and was saved. So that was very beautiful for the turtles.
Nice. Nothing from me, town attorney.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Town manager.
Yes, just piggybacking off of the legislative update, the dashboard, we updated, or David updated our budget, Power BI. As was indicated, we have to go through some new exercises, post information differently. I believe the way our budget's presented over a 5-year period satisfies that. So we're not going to have to recreate, buy a new software package. I think the Power BI that David built off of our BSNA module support should satisfy that. There's probably a couple little secondary documents, but you can move through each department, cost centers, revenue sources over 5 years. It projects it on a trend, which is all the stuff that the legislator wanted us to do. The 10% exercise we'll do. Generally, and when it comes to 10%, it's everything except for people. So it's always a safe number, but it's 10% can be draconian as it is a 10% cut. But we'll go through that exercise, part of budget, a little more early on to show you what it would look like. And you could determine if go get it, don't do that, if you want to make those changes. But it really is driven by the property tax, where 10% would be a gift. So we'll see where the legislator over the next few months gets to, but it appears that reasonableness might be playing out and keep us protected a little bit. On the pathways piece that we were talking about, Len and I have started a conversation. We'll have to run that through FDOT and see where they're at. The prior community I was at, I know it's in a different state. That's why we have to go through this exercise a little bit. We used to call our pathways that are very similar to this non-motorized joint use pathways. By definition, you can't have anything with a motor on the pathway. That takes care of e-bikes, e-scooters, electric unicycles, skateboards. For the safety perspective, it gets them off and onto the bike path because it's now available attached to the road for higher speed motorized vehicles. So we just got to see if FDOT's comfortable with that and how we memorialize that, probably through some type of updates to chapter 25 in the ordinance, which does attach to our bike paths in there, sidewalks, right of ways. We'll play around with that to see if we can't get FDOT to bite a little bit. And then in so doing, without having to set speeds and monitor speeds, we've defined the pathway for its use, which doesn't include motorized vehicles. You can still do a bicycle, but you can't have anything under power and motor on that pathway, which would then at least get them out onto the street. And then police can have some provisions to enforce it by, it's got a motor, you can't be on this and go that way. The battery stuff, we'll still work with Matt on and get through that piece of it. We do, from that article, we have to come up with an education campaign, or at least Matt does, on how we're going to educate the public on, charging batteries to be careful. And so we're going to work through those elements.
Just to comment on the pathways, as I've mentioned before, I would encourage Delray and Boca at least to the crossings, the Spanish River and so forth, to continue having the same policy as a minimum as we do, as we put it into effect.
So, I mean, if FDOT is comfortable with the definition change to keep the motorized stuff off of the pathways, I would believe, I could speak more to Boca, would be they would listen. Delray, I can't tell if they would listen to those concepts, but that would be good to tie. I know Len had.
Yeah, we had talked about
up
that
too.
yesterday.
How do we tie the adjacent communities? Because you can't be non-motorized and you're back on and off. Users will get confused, but that could be a good route while the state legislature works through its task force to say if they want to create speeds and stuff. But really anything under a motor that's moving, you really don't want to be on a sidewalk or a non-motorized joint use facility. You really don't want to do that because you're just going too fast with all the driveway cuts and people. It's dangerous for the rider. It's dangerous for the other users on the pathway. So we're going to go down that path a little bit, see if FDOT is comfortable or silent, one of the two, and then we'll have a mechanism by defining it in an ordinance, and then police can keep people off of them.
Hey, Marshall, have any of the towns changed the grading on the sidewalks with a small speed bump or any kind of lines? Have any of the towns looked at that at all?
No, I don't. I've not seen that, like any type of speed bumps. We could paint. Seems like our appropriation request is still pushing through for 5 in a row. If we get that, we are going to be repaving the pathways. So at that point in time, we could do markings on it, and do things of that nature. Speed bumps could be a little awkward because it could become a trip hazard. It's a point of conflict. ADA doesn't like for that kind of use, a lot of transition in height. That creates a trip hazard.
Right.
And sovereign immunity just went up. So that means our exposure is higher. So we just got to be a little bit careful with that. At brand new, they're probably not bad, but I could see over time a little bit of separation between the two surfaces or cracking creates a trip hazard. But either way, we on the pathway stuff, once we get the appropriation request and we'll start scheduling all that along with the embedded crosswalk lighting, which takes me over to Milani Park. They're moving full steam ahead. They're looking to submit their compliance package and permit applications here in the next week and a half. They'd like to break ground end of May, early June. So they're moving. I've talked with the police chief on some of the safety protocols we'll have to do. We'll be working shortly with fire because they will have a lifeguard. Fire will have to do response because I just don't see, since they won't sign a formal mutual aid agreement, how they're going to show up to rescue people at a park when they won't mutual aid. So it's going to be an odd setup, but hopefully our chiefs will talk to the other chiefs and have a little powwow and get everybody on the same page on rescue there. Because that still stands.
Have they come up with the parking fee? What the parking fee is going to be
They
yet?
have not disclosed what that's going to be yet. They have formally recognized the reduced parking in the initial phase. So they're committed to that, it appears. That walkway boardwalk structure is something to be seen. It's going to be a very expensive project. So hopefully they budget enough money. Speaking with the landscape architect, this acacia wood that they're using for the whole structure is massively expensive. So I'm guessing it's a 10 $12 million project. So they're moving forward, want to break ground, get it done with. The archaeologists are out on site now. So that's, a good sign. Forgot something else I wanted to get to. Oh, the Marine unit that's improved, the permitting that's gotten better. We got application in, they've recognized receipt. I think we've given them the type of signage and in-water channel marker, seagrass thing that they wanted. I believe we're in a good space. And they were comfortable with meeting our deadlines of June. So that project has pushed itself back onto a positive trajectory on our dashboard. So that's going good.
So what is the timeline now for that dock?
Well, if we get a permit done by June 1st, we turn it into the fine commission for their deadlines. They award October, Skender? September. Once we get their approval, then we're good to go. We have an engineer's estimate. We're hoping for a 50% match from the find. So once they say go, we can hit the streets and bid it and then start. So it could be a late fall, winter project for us, depending on who the selected contractor is. And we'll see how those things fall into place. But at least we're back online to secure the grants. We do have an appropriation for that as well. So we're in a really good spot. And without the massive amounts of mitigation that was being initially contemplated, the project costs are more in line with what we had hoped and planned for. Last thing on a special project that's kind of come, unfortunately, we lost a resident over the weekend to a swimming incident where they couldn't get out of the water in time. It was relatively rough ocean times, a lot of riptides out there. We don't know the exact cause, but we did lose one of our cherished residents to a swimming incident. And as part of that, speaking with Matt, we're going to do a little bit more of an educational component at the north-south side of town, along with the fire station itself, to notify residents of the beach conditions. So before you go out, you'll at least have a means to know, is it rough seas? Is there man o' wars going? Is there riptides? Or is it calm? And we'll put those flags north-south side of town, and we'll start it at the fire station as well, along with some signage as to what that means. And we can put it out on the app and our website, just so I'm sure the gentleman knew what was happening or what was going on. But again, just to notify folks of those, what are the ocean conditions, because we don't have a public beach. At least we can work off of probably from Spanish River or maybe Atlantic Dunes, kind of combo information to know what those our coastal conditions are before people go out for a swim. If there's riptides or man o' wars or some other type of bacteria or something in the water, we'll be able to let folks know.
You're talking about signage as well on the road or somewhere on?
No, we basically put up the marine signs. We have more of a large outreach to let folks know. So when you come in north side of town, you have the American flag up there. We'll eventually put up a marine conditions flag. So when you come into town, if it's rough waters, it's good to go. If there's a purple and a yellow, that combination that you would normally get from the lifeguard station when you go in the ocean, we'll put them on the north-south side of town and then here out in front of the fire station, and then notify people through the website and our app, just so they know what's going on. It could help. It's easy to do. I think it'll be kind of a neat thing that we could do as a town, that because everybody has beach access in town. So to be able to educate the folks on the conditions of the water, I think would be good for a beach town.
Do we know if the county is going to do anything in that regard?
They're going to put a
At the beach?
lifeguard at Milani Park, and they'll probably put up some flags and stuff, but we'll coordinate that with them through fire. And again, that's the partnership with their lifeguards that are part of the county fire department. So we'll work with them to, again, if somebody was to, God forbid, get hurt at Milani Park, even though we have some concerns because of the rock, and the lifeguards working them, again, we're going to have to take them to the hospital. By the time the county gets here with a rescue, it's going to be too late. So they're gonna call, but we don't have mutual aid. So do we go? But I don't play that game. But, we will do the appropriate response. So we got to create that partnership. So if we have that incident, we can get them to the hospital quickly. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Did you want to talk about the state mandated emergency management training?
Oh, I too. I just put all these other notes. I didn't do it. So I sent you all an email. I think it was House Bill 180 that we're always talking about or up there. Requires all of us, myself included. We have to go through this training. I sent you the self-paced training. You put your email and you go through the training course yourself. It's self-paced. It's not, I would say, difficult. Just this lot. There's some jargon, fire jargon, emergency response jargon that if you don't usually hear it, it can trip you up as far as how quickly you can move through the content because they'll start describing it and then they go to acronyms, right? So the jargon, the Vice Mayor's done it, so he could speak to it. So if this is our copy, I'll make sure Linelda, you already give her one? Okay. So I mean, how long did it take you? An hour and a half, 2 hours? About 2 hours. It's interesting, but again, just the jargon, sometimes you're kind of like, they'll give you an acronym and you're like, what does that stand for? So, but we are all required by July 1 to get that done. If you need any help signing up or you want a quiet office, Linelda will get you all set up, get you in the commission office and get you on a computer and walk you through it. If you're having trouble, I know some fire guys that are really good at it and they'll come over and help you out a little bit, stand at the door, and do some personalized education as well. So we're here to help, but we have to get it done by July 1st for the state and then every 2 years thereafter.
Thank you for all those updates. Thank you. Moving on to announcements, board vacancies. We have one vacancy for a 3-year term on the Code Enforcement Board. And we have one vacancy for an unexpired term ending April 2027 for the Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board. Upcoming meetings and events, April 9th at 9:30 in the morning, we have our next planning board regular meeting. And on May 5th at 1:30, we have our next town commission meeting. There are no board action reports. And with that, we can adjourn. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you take this?